This is Native Talk, Course A1, Unit 5, Lesson 2. There are negative statements. The objective of today's class is to learn there is and there are in the negative and question forms. At the end of the lesson, the students will be able to use there is and there are in the positive form, negative form, and question form to describe what is in rooms of a house. There is and there are negative form. The negative is formed by putting the word not after the word is or are. For example, there is not a horse in the field. There are not 8 children in the school. There is not a tree in the garden. There are not 2 elephants in the zoo. Keep in mind, there is for singular and there are for plural sentences. Therefore, there is not a horse in the field is talking about one horse, singular horse. There are not 8 children is more than one child. There is not a tree, singular sentence for one tree in the garden. There are not 2 elephants, more than one elephant, 2 elephants in the zoo. There is and there are negative contractions. So just as there is not and there are not, there is not is equal to there isn't, and there are not is equal to there aren't. The exact same statement, just a contraction. So more on the negative form. When we want to indicate that a zero quantity of something exists, we use there aren't any. Mesela Türkçe'de sıfır bir şey yok var. There is not any. There aren't any. There aren't any people at the party. Hiç kimse yok partide. There aren't any trees in my street. There aren't any trees in my street Türkçe'de. Yolda ağaç yok. We also use this structure with uncountable nouns. Sayılmaz isim. There isn't any water in the swimming pool. Havuzuna yok. Havuzuna su yok. There isn't any sugar in my coffee. Kafedeyim. Kafemde şeker yok. There is and there are question forms. To form a question, we place is or are in front of there. Again, we use any with plural questions or those which use uncountable nouns. Sayılmaz isim. We also use there is or there are in short answers. For example, mesela, is there a dog in the supermarket? No, there isn't. Are there any dogs in the park? Yes, there are. Is there a security guard in the shop? Yes, there is. Are there any polar bears in Antarctica? No, there aren't. Is there any ice cream in the freezer? Yes, there is. Notice that in each of these, the word is or are is at the start of the very first word in the sentence to indicate a question, followed by there to indicate there are or there is a certain quantity of, or possibly there is not or there are not, meaning a zero form, zero quantity of. Now, question forms continued. If we want to find out the number of objects that exist, we use how many in the following form. For example, the structure is how many plus a plural noun, çoğul isim, are there plus some complement or the rest of the sentence. For example, how many dogs are there in the park? Parkta köpek ne kadar? Gibi. Or kaç köpek var? Kaç köpek parkta var? How many students are there in your class? Kaç öğrenci öğrenci sınıfta var. Sınıftanız var da. How many countries are there in South America? South America'da ne kadar vatan var? Kaç vatan var? How many Star Wars films are there? Kaç Star Wars filmi var?